Welcome to FlyEaglesFly News, where Eagles fans get the latest, fastest, and hottest updates. Hit subscribe and fly high with us. It all started as just another ordinary morning in Philadelphia, but within hours, the sports world was turned upside down. Reports began to circulate that Jalen Hurts, the unquestioned leader and face of the Philadelphia Eagles, was preparing to leave the team in a shocking and unexpected move. Fans first thought it was a hoax or one of those wild off-season rumors that disappear as fast as they appear. But then ESPN dropped the bombshell, confirming that sources close to the organization had verified that something real, something serious, was happening behind the scenes. The locker room, usually so unified, was reportedly filled with tension, confusion, and disbelief. Teammates didn't know what to say, coaches were caught off guard, and social media exploded with theories, memes, and panic from fans who couldn't imagine the Eagles without their star quarterback. The situation escalated rapidly, turning into a full-blown crisis that left analysts scrambling for answers and insiders hinting at deep internal conflicts that had been brewing for months. No one expected this. Not now, not after everything Hurts and the Eagles had built together. The NFL world was officially on fire, and every second brought a new wave of speculation. By midday, the story had evolved into the kind of breaking news frenzy that dominates every sports talk show, every social media timeline, every fan conversation in bars and offices across the country. The phrase Jalen Hurts leaving the Eagles felt almost unreal to say out loud, yet it was on every ESPN ticker, every headline, every push notification. Insiders claimed that contract disputes, disagreements over offensive strategy, and even strained relationships within the coaching staff had reached a breaking point. Some sources hinted that Hurts felt underappreciated, not by the fans, but by decision-makers within the franchise who had allegedly questioned his long-term role as the cornerstone of the team. That sense of disrespect, they said, had been simmering quietly, hidden beneath his calm, composed public persona. When the news broke, former players and analysts alike weighed in, calling it one of the most shocking potential exits in recent NFL memory. The Eagles organization issued a short, cautious statement saying they were evaluating all possibilities, but behind the scenes, panic was setting in. The franchise's future suddenly seemed uncertain, and the whole league was watching. As the hours passed, reports from Philadelphia's sports radio stations painted a picture of chaos within the Eagles' headquarters. Coaches were reportedly trying to reach Hurts directly, while front office executives held emergency meetings to control the damage. The fan base, known for its passion and intensity, was in full meltdown mode. Outside Lincoln Financial Field, a small crowd of fans even gathered, holding up signs begging Hurts to stay, chanting his name, and pleading with the team to fix whatever was broken. Meanwhile, analysts on ESPN dissected every angle. Could Hurts have secretly been planning this? Was this a leverage play to force changes in the coaching staff or a better contract extension? Others speculated that another franchise had already approached him behind closed doors, offering a blockbuster deal that no one could refuse. The rumor mill was spinning faster than ever. The Eagles' social media accounts went silent for hours, adding fuel to the fire. Every moment felt like the calm before a storm, the kind of moment when everyone knew something massive was about to happen. By evening, the situation had become almost cinematic. Reports emerged that Hurts had cleared out his personal locker, a move that sent shockwaves through the organization. Teammates who were close to him described him as frustrated but focused, hinting that this wasn't a rash decision. It was something that had been building up quietly for a long time. The tension between Hurts and certain members of the coaching staff reportedly reached its boiling point after last week's loss, where offensive decisions left him visibly upset on the sidelines. Sources close to the team claimed that heated conversations took place after the game, and that was when the relationship began to fracture. As the news spread, other players around the league began to post cryptic messages on social media, hinting that they saw it coming. That added even more intrigue to an already explosive story. Fans of rival teams immediately began dreaming of impossible trade scenarios, imagining Hurts in their team's colors. The entire sports world was on alert. What had been a rumor now looked dangerously close to reality. Late-night sports shows picked up the story and turned it into the biggest headline of the week. ESPN's analysts debated whether the Eagles' management had mismanaged their superstar or if Hurts had simply decided to chase a new challenge elsewhere. Rumors flew that he had already been approached by multiple teams willing to pay record-breaking sums to secure his talent. Some insiders suggested that he might even be taking a short break from football altogether, citing burnout and a desire to reassess his career path. That possibility hit fans hard. Social media was flooded with emotional messages, tributes, and even homemade highlight videos thanking Hurts for everything he had done for the city. Philadelphia, a town that lives and breathes football, felt collectively heartbroken. Sports bars stayed open late as fans gathered to watch every ESPN update, hoping for some miracle reversal. But as the hours dragged on, it became clear something irreversible had shifted in the air. When morning came, the situation had not cooled down. In fact, it had intensified. ESPN confirmed through multiple insiders that the relationship between Hurts and the Eagles had reached a point of no return. Sources claimed that attempts at reconciliation had failed and that the team was already exploring strategic alternatives, coded language for trade discussions, or potential buyouts. Fans, still reeling from disbelief, flooded the team's social media with comments demanding transparency. The Eagles organization remained mostly silent, offering only vague reassurances that they were committed to making decisions in the best interest of the team and its future. Meanwhile, Hurts himself had yet to make any public statement. That silence only made things worse, fueling speculation that his departure was already a done deal. The NFL, always hungry for drama, had found its next big saga, and it revolved around one of the most talented and respected quarterbacks in the game. The league was buzzing, the fans were furious, and no one could predict what would happen next. By the following day, every sports network in America was leading with one headline: Jalen Hurts leaves the Eagles. ESPN confirmed the story, saying multiple high-level sources within the organization had verified that Hurts had officially informed management of his decision to step away. The details remained murky, but the shock was absolute. For a player who had become the very embodiment of the team's spirit, disciplined, humble, relentless, this felt like an emotional earthquake. Fans woke up to the kind of news that makes your stomach drop. Across Philadelphia, you could almost feel the silence, a city collectively processing heartbreak. People wore their Hurts jerseys to work, not in celebration, but in mourning. Sports radio was a sea of disbelief, callers shouting, crying, demanding answers. Meanwhile, analysts scrambled to piece together the reasons. Was this about respect, money, philosophy, or something deeper? One thing was clear: this wasn't just about football. It was about identity, leadership, and the painful collision between loyalty and ambition. Soon, attention shifted to what could have caused such a rupture between Hurts and the Eagles' leadership. Reports indicated that over the last several months, there had been growing friction about the offensive scheme, with Hurts allegedly feeling boxed in by play calling that limited his creativity. Sources close to him described long internal debates about how the team should evolve, debates that turned tense and personal. The Eagles, for all their recent success, were reportedly split on whether to fully build the offense around Hurts' unique dual-threat style or stick with a more conservative structure. When those disagreements turned public after a few pointed post-game comments, the damage might have already been done. ESPN's insider panel even revealed that Hurts representatives had met with front office executives weeks earlier, warning that major changes would be needed to keep their client happy. The fact that those changes never came could explain why this stunning decision finally happened. If true, this wasn't a snap reaction. It was the final straw in a long, quiet standoff. As more details emerged, the story only grew more dramatic. ESPN reported that Hurts' decision had come after a private meeting with head coach Nick Sirianni, one described by insiders as emotional, intense, and final. Apparently, Hurts expressed his gratitude for the organization but made it clear that he felt it was time for a new chapter. What followed was chaos: staff members blindsided, players stunned, and team executives scrambling to contain the narrative before it spiraled out of control. Within hours, several teams across the league reportedly reached out to gauge Hurts' interest, setting off what could become one of the most heated quarterback chases in modern NFL history. Names like the Raiders, Falcons, and even the Patriots surfaced as potential suitors. The Eagles, meanwhile, were left staring into the abyss of an uncertain future. The franchise that had built its identity around Hurts' leadership now had to reinvent itself overnight. The league was watching, the fans were fuming, and the countdown to his next move had officially begun. The emotional reaction from Philadelphia was unlike anything seen in recent sports memory. This wasn't just about losing a player. It was about losing a symbol of resilience. Hurts had been more than a quarterback. He was the city's heartbeat, a man who reflected Philly's blue-collar grit and unbreakable pride. His story, overcoming doubt, proving critics wrong, leading the team to glory, had inspired an entire generation of fans. So when the news became official, it hit hard. Street murals honoring Hurts turned into makeshift memorials. Fans left flowers, handwritten letters, even game tickets taped to the walls as tokens of gratitude. Local radio hosts broke down in tears live on air. Some fans blamed management, others blamed the league, but everyone agreed on one thing. It shouldn't have ended like this. The departure of Jalen Hurts wasn't just a football story. It was a Philadelphia tragedy, the kind of sports heartbreak that echoes for years. And even though no one knew where he would go next, everyone knew one thing for sure. He had left a legacy that would never fade. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. As the dust began to settle, the focus turned to what comes next, both for Hurts and for the Eagles. Insiders hinted that negotiations were already underway with multiple teams, and some speculated that Hurts was looking not just for a new team, but for a new kind of opportunity. Word spread that he wanted to work with a coaching staff that truly understood his strengths and gave him full creative freedom on the field. Meanwhile, the Eagles organization faced a brutal reality check. Without Hurts, their offense, their chemistry, and their identity all hung in the balance. Team officials promised fans that they would move forward with purpose, but everyone knew it would take years to recover from this. The idea of seeing Hurts in another jersey, throwing touchdowns for another city, was almost unbearable for Philadelphia fans. Yet in the business of the NFL, emotion never outweighs strategy. Somewhere out there, Jalen Hurts was preparing for his next chapter, and the world was waiting to see where destiny would take him. And just when it seemed the story might finally calm down, ESPN dropped one final twist. Sources close to Hurts claimed that his departure might not be permanent, that he hadn't ruled out a possible return if certain conditions were met. That revelation sent the sports world into another frenzy. Was this a leverage move to force organizational changes? Was Hurts playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers? Fans clung to that hope, believing maybe, just maybe, this was all part of a larger plan. But insiders cautioned that bridges might already be burned beyond repair. For now, Hurts remained silent, his social media untouched, his future a mystery. The Eagles were left to pick up the pieces, and the rest of the league watched with fascination. No matter what happens next, one thing is undeniable. This saga has redefined what it means for a franchise to lose its heart. Jalen Hurts didn't just leave the Eagles. He left the entire NFL shaken to its core. Finally, industry whispers claim that the potential trade of A.J. Brown, should it occur, could become a defining moment for Howard Roseman's tenure as general manager, impacting perceptions of his strategic vision, negotiation acumen, and long-term planning abilities. Sources suggest that internal discussions are far from superficial, encompassing draft implications, salary cap ramifications, and team morale considerations, all meticulously modeled to evaluate risk versus reward. Rumors indicate that Philadelphia's front office is preparing multiple contingency plans, ranging from immediate trade execution to gradual integration of replacement talent, while simultaneously managing public relations narratives to minimize backlash. Analysts speculate that Brown's trade, if it materializes, could trigger a cascade of roster adjustments across the league, influencing contract negotiations, player valuations, and team-building strategies in ways that extend well beyond Philadelphia. Internally, the coaching staff is reportedly recalibrating offensive schemes and preparing emerging talent to step into potentially larger roles, all while maintaining focus on ongoing games and team performance. Fans, executives, and media alike remain on high alert, fully aware that Roseman's ultimate decision regarding A.J. Brown could redefine Philadelphia's identity, influence league-wide market dynamics, and provide a dramatic narrative that will be dissected for seasons to come. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.